It's the Otter PR podcast. Jack Shell with not Dr. Jay Feldman. It's the other brain behind the empire, the one, the only Scott Bartnick, joining me for a discussion today. Hi.
Hey, Jack. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you lean into the microphone?
Is that better?
Yeah, why don't you move the microphone toward you?
Awesome.
Get right in there.
First time in the studio, guys. Really excited.
Hey, he's an engineer. He's not a broadcast professional. Come on. And that's what we're going to talk a bit about today is Scott's background and how it relates to how we began this here company, Otter Public Relations, one of the leading public relations firms in the United States, if not the world. We're certainly one of the fastest growing, that's for sure. And it's my pleasure to work for these guys. It's been a growing and a learning experience over the course of the last month or so that I've been with the company. And I'm learning things every day. We're educating our clients. We're building relationships. We're getting people out in the world of media, on TV, in magazines, in print publications. Am I talking too much, Scott?
No, you're doing a great job saving
Okay.
me from talking.
Okay. So
Keep on going.
So anyway, this whole thing started out with a conversation in an apartment. And I want to backtrack a little bit because you spent the weekend with your co-founder, Jay Feldman, in Orlando at a big conference where you got to hear the great Tony Robbins speak.
Yeah, that was the first time I've heard him speak, the first time I've heard anyone speak like that. Probably one of the best speakers of our times. Very motivational. I think that where we are now going to that conference is just kind of a dream come true, being able to go there and already kind of hitting some of those goals that we had set and really just being around the greats and looking at, Jay and I and Otter, we're baby entrepreneurs. My background, I'm a true entrepreneur. I love operations. I just love building things. And right now my dream is Otter PR and how to build that, but learning from those people who have already done it, who are making not millions, but billions, and then listening to them tell us how they did it and how they coach people and their mindset through it. It was just eye-opening.
Yeah, and every journey begins with the first step. It's kind of a trite but true statement. And when you saw Tony Robbins, he certainly inspired you, as he inspires so many entrepreneurs worldwide. The guy's been speaking at engagements like this for 30 years or so. But what I want to do is set this discussion up as to maybe someone watching this who could be inspired by your story and how you began this thing, because who knows, maybe in the next 10 years, we might be paying money to see Scott Bartnick or Dr. Jay Feldman on one of these stages talking to a room full of people because they started this little company in a little apartment.
Yeah, hopefully sooner. It's one of my goals to be on the stage. Really motivated by it. But I think one of the big things that most of the speakers had in common was the emotion.
Yeah.
Part of sales, part of building a story, building a brand is the emotion behind it, the story. It's very hard to look at an entrepreneur who came bankrolled and just, they made $1 billion, but they were given $5.5 million to start or $20 million to start. It's very different. A lot of those people in the room, or pretty much all the speakers, bootstrapped it. And I think that's one of the things that's important about Otter PR and where we started as a company.
You had no handout.
No handout, no real help except for each other. We were kind of each other's mentors. We used other mentors online. We read books, things like that. But there was no gift. As a matter of fact, we were in debt. We both owned e-commerce business together. Jay's over $500,000 in debt in student loans. I have my own personal debt, but we also had massive e-commerce debts. I was facing bankruptcy when we started Otter PR. And just that story and that kind of mentality was common through those entrepreneurs, and learning how they had all failed and then built themselves back up is a big part of successful people.
So you decided randomly, let's just start a PR agency. It didn't just happen like this, obviously. Scott and Jay were also successful entrepreneurs in their own right. Your background is in engineering. So, how does that relate to public relations? Wait, let's get to that in a second, okay? You guys were successful entrepreneurs. You had your own little businesses. And they weren't little businesses. You made money. You started a company called the 5-Day Startup. Am I correct?
Yep, that's correct. So Jay and I both had our own businesses. I'll give you a little bit more background to jump back there.
Okay.
So I have an engineering degree. I actually have 2 engineering degrees, operations and systems engineering. My background is optimization. Basically, I make things better. That's my job. I don't necessarily create. That's not how I was educated. It's how do I walk into a system and improve upon it. And so I've always kind of done that throughout business. Jay and I started our first business 5 years ago. It was e-commerce. We had a product. We sold it majority through Amazon. And we had a lot of success in a small sense of we were working full-time. He was in school. I was working for a Fortune 500 company and loving it at the time. So when we started off, we launched our product. We started doing about $2,000 a month in sales, which, hey, I'll take it. 25% margins, not a lot to take home, but still, we learned, and at that time, I thought this was a big success because my goal was small. It was $10 a day. And that's it. It was $10 a day. I just wanted to some side hustle, some retirement fund. I wanted to potentially maybe buy the house with it, or put that straight to the retirement, or have that as my play money. Whatever it was, that was just kind of how it started off. But we just kept building from there. After about a year, I quit my job, and I decided right before I quit, I put a personal goal to have my own business that was making me a little bit of cash. That was another $10 a day goal. It was just I wanted to have some cash that was coming in so I could go abroad. I had just read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and it stopped me in my tracks. It was kind of like a found Jesus moment where I just looked at life differently, and I had to change my life pretty much instantly. I had to make changes. I started my first business. I built that up, and then I started my own personal business without Jay. And that was I was doing a little bit of odds and ends, as any entrepreneur would. I had to learn how to build a website just to build a website. So then I was like, well, let me sell websites. I can build websites now. So I built that for a little bit, and then I had to build a little bit of a social media presence and do some marketing. And so I was like, well, I'm pretty good at this, so let me sell this for a while. And so every step of the way, my goal was whatever I was focused on, become so good at it that I could sell it as a service. And if I didn't like it, or if it ended up not being that profitable to sell, I would move on. And so I've continued to move on until I found things I liked. E-commerce has been a branch throughout the entire process that I've loved. But I really found my calling with Otter. And part of that comes from, I'm going to jump back a little bit again. When I did quit, I spent a year traveling. And I was working full-time for myself for the 5-day startup, doing kind of website development, social media marketing, building brands, helping people, consulting, using kind of my operations background as well. I try to get into a little bit more of what I was interested in was their business operations, but that's a little bit harder to sell, at least for me. But I did it all from Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Australia.
There's not a place on the map you haven't visited at this point.
Actually, I've never been to Europe.
Never been to Europe?
The entire
continent. How do you miss Europe?
I don't know.
I've been to Europe, but I haven't been anywhere.
And it's not on my list.
Okay.
I mean, it will be. I'm going. It's on the list. It just wasn't at the time. Europe for me was just almost a road trip away. All of my college friends went to Europe. Everyone vacations in Europe. It's a shorter flight, 6 hours.
You're like, instead I'll go to Egypt.
Yeah. I've been to Egypt. Egypt was awesome. Egypt was amazing. But the whole point was I could work and build my business while I was traveling. So I would spend more time working than I did party, but it was really cool because I could go have lunch instead of having lunch down the street. I'd go have lunch at a crazy ruin and do it with travelers, and I'd stay in hostels and still live that lifestyle. And what I did was I tried to relearn what life meant. As dumb as that sounds, I had always come from a middle-class family. I had what I needed. College was paid for. I had a free ride on top of that. So I was always comfortable. I had never lived poor. I'd always I had a car when I turned 16. That simple but great. So I had never lived poor. I never lived on a couple dollars a day. I never forced myself to go outside my comfort zone. And so one of the interesting things was when I quit, someone who was very wealthy had asked me, well, who's funding this trip? Like, who's paying for this? And
who's paying for all this?
Exactly. And for me, it was like, well, I am. And I'm going to live poor, and I'm going to live different, and I'm going to realize that money doesn't matter, and that I need to enjoy the process. And so that jumps back a little bit, but that kind of tells you how Otter was built in the sense that I had experimented so many different times and never really trying to win in any of those things, just trying to learn and trying to look at different perspectives. Then fast forward a year later, I come back, I actually move in with Jay, my business partner, and we start working on Otter. Our e-commerce had actually gone from $2,000 a month to about $45,000, $50,000 a month seasonally. And so we were having a lot of success there. Cash flow still wasn't really what I wanted to kind of maintain a life, because you have to buy inventory, you have to market it. If you want a whole new product, it's expensive. You take all your profits and then you go double down on another product.
Right.
And to scale that continue to double down on another product. But we had success there. I think $40,000, $50,000, everyone will consider that a success. And what we saw was we were both really good at marketing and really good at public relations. We had some very successful PR campaigns. Jay and I were both in the media, and people kept asking, how are you doing this? How are you doing this? How are you doing this? And Jay and I were doing it separately, but we just looked at each other and was like, well, Jay, your skill set's here. My skill to really scaling and operations and optimization. You go build the base, and I'll take that and I'll triple it. And so that's kind of where we started with Otter, where PR was almost more of Jay's dream. I just want to be part of something that I think is great. And I think that what we built with Otter is great, and the team that we have is awesome, and the results that we're getting, people are on Forbes, New York Times, Inc., Daily, Fox Business, and actually I just got off a sales call with someone from Fox Business, and they're like, yeah, we can put a client on there for $40,000. I was like, oh, well, we can just pitch it for free.
$40,000.
$40,000. We've had multiple clients on Fox Business for free.
I would say, right.
We don't buy that spot. We storytell. And so to me, to see the value of what we're doing for our clients that could be resold and used at just our cost of working with a publicist, it is amazing to see that true value and kind of have that impact and know that we're helping businesses.
You know, you said you had a humble beginning. You started bootstrap this whole thing. Let's go back to where you got the idea to do this. You're sitting around your apartment eating ramen noodles, sitting on the couch and go, you know, we've learned a lot about this PR thing with our little businesses here. Why can't we do it ourselves?
Yeah, so we were definitely in experiment phase still. E-commerce was killing it for us. Again, not the best cash winner. And it was really Jay. It was Jay's idea. Jay was like, I love PR. I'm really passionate about it. I had a couple ideas. Mine was Amazon consulting. I was doing Amazon consulting. That's where I was taking my business, really focused on the operations. I think that that's my niche. My niche is building, optimizing, improving, scaling, looking at systems and changing them.
I've seen this guy work. He's constantly molding and shaping things over and over again and refining. It's something else. My brain doesn't work that way, so I'm fascinated by people who do.
Yeah, a lot of my job is just organization at a corporate structure where I have to go into other people's brains and be like, this makes no sense. We have to structure this. We have to set clear priorities, and we have to execute at a specific time and day. That's part of my degree, in a sense, is kind of just how my mind is trained.
Yeah.
So it was Jay's baby, and it was his dream, and he just said, Scott, like, I don't want to do Amazon consulting with you. It's not my dream. I love PR. And I was like, okay, fine. I love building things. So perfect. We'll follow your dream. You think you can sell it? I told him, I was like, listen, you make the first 10 sales, I'm 50-50. I'm not going to do anything. If you make those first 10 sales, I'm in. About a week later, he's like, Scott, I made 10 sales. Come help me.
That's incredible. I mean, how many people are listening to this right now thinking to themselves, gosh, I want to start my own business. How do I do it? And then how do I get people to know about my business once I've got it started? Well, I guess you come here, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, every journey is different. I think that listening to other people speak and listening to people's ideas, there's no bad idea in business. I mean, there are not so good ideas, and I can shoot holes in ideas all day, and so can anyone. But you can make and sell pretty much any product as long as you're passionate about it and you find a way to reach an audience. I think that that's the biggest thing is who are you helping? So what is the problem? A lot of people try to start backwards. They're like, I have this solution, let me sell it. But are you solving a problem? So look, especially service-wise, is you just need a way to get in front of a person and tell them, hey, I can make this better for you. I can improve this. I can solve your pain points, or I can help you grow. That's it. That's really as simple as that.
And there's a lot of people that come to us that don't know how to do what we know how to do. And that's basically what any business is about, really, at the end of the day. Not everybody knows how to make an iPhone, so you go to Apple to get the iPhone, whatever. But we know how to get the coverage. We know how to get you in front of cameras. We know how to get you the ink that you deserve and that you desire, and to get your name out. And my gosh, these guys have figured it out, and it's mind-blowing to watch this thing grow and to see how fast it has come to fruition, this dream that you guys have assembled here at Otter PR. You started from 2 guys on a couch. You added Colleen. And we got 36, 37 employees now. We're adding a bunch more too.
Yeah.
2 offices, Orlando and St. Petersburg.
I'm really excited. I actually just got a call that our Orlando office is at capacity. We're looking to expand. We're hiring 15 new people in the next 2 weeks. We're going to continue to grow. And I think the coolest thing for me specifically is looking at a business and looking at a startup versus a business that's in the growth or scaling phase. Startups are confused. Startups don't know where to go. They don't know if I put $1 in, what am I going to get out? I think what's really cool about Otter is we've, in a year and a half, 2 years, well, I think we're already in the growth phase. We have many startups inside here where we're trying different projects and looking at different things, but our media relations is amazing.
That's the key. That's the nuts and bolts of what we do, media relations.
That's what we do. We get people in the press, and our team is awesome. And we are able to bring new people in, train them, have leadership, have an organization structure, and scale it. So for me, I can look at it as a math problem now. If I can hire 15 people who are good and can follow our process, we can grow. I can sell it. I know I can sell it. Jay can sell it, and it's done.
And the key word you just used there is process. We're not like every other PR agency in the world. We have a specific way that we do things. This goes to your engineering and managerial background. You've come up with a process and a unique proprietary system for how we do it.
Oh yeah, we're very structured. So one of the advantages of working with us is that Jay and I didn't have PR backgrounds. So the first thing we did is obviously interview people with PR backgrounds.
Right. We're not just winging it over here.
We're not winging it. We brought in the experts. I actually, for the first month, I was a publicist. That bombed miserably.
I somehow can see that, but that's only because I know how hyper and focused you get on other things.
Yeah.
So.
I'm more of a strategy guy.
Yeah.
I can talk strategy about PR all day, but to actually have me do the outreach was not a success. Now I have a black book, as long as you can imagine. I can get you covered anywhere. But I wasn't a publicist. What I do now is I help, like I said, process. So when you came on, you do weeks of training. You have that org structure. You have a mentorship. There's checklists and different steps that you have to make. Now we have guides and process. It's just all built for you. So. And we're doing things differently. We're guaranteeing results. We're pitching the media, and we're actually focused on media relations, not just the strategy behind it. I'm not just taking a business owner and saying, hey, well, if you did this, this, and this, maybe we would have gotten you published. Like, what does that do for you? That's not why you hired me. My job, my team's job is to actually get you published. It's to get you to do those things or to figure out how to work with what we have to get that person published.
Follow the process and then work with the other details while you're within that.
Absolutely.
And I have a client I'm working with right now who we're getting the ink, we're getting the coverage, we're getting the podcast. These are all happening right now as we speak. Got him on another podcast today. Got him another article today. This stuff happened. It's like 3 things within this week. But at the same time, I'm trying to encourage this guy to open up his social media channels so more people know who he is. Because when you go for these bigger outlets, they're going, well, nice guy, but 100 followers on Instagram is not going to cut it with us.
Yep, and I call it the ladder success. So I do this, especially in the thought leadership category, when we're working directly with CEOs who want to build their personal brand. There's a lot of success. You're not going to come in day one if you have no background, very little business success, and be on New York Times. It's just not it. When I started my PR campaign, they were all mid, low tier. I even started with Medium. I think that was the first thing I was on, which is a free site to post on.
Sure.
But you have to build that presence. Now I'm an entrepreneur.com contributor. I've been hosted over 150 times. I'm verified on all social media accounts. I have 50,000 followers. So I'm not a big fish yet, but it's really easy to pitch me to most outlets, even those larger outlets, because I have enough check marks that they're like, okay, this guy has an audience. And that's a big part of it, is having that audience, but also as a voice. And that's the other part of it. So you have to help build and show that. Just having that voice alone with no audience doesn't do anything. And an audience with no voice doesn't do anything. You need both. And so that just comes over time. I've been running my own PR for almost 2 years now, or the team has. I don't run my own PR. but it increases. The opportunities that I get better every day as my business grows, as there's more presence out there, as I do more speaking engagements. And it just continues to follow the path. And my goals change daily. And now I want to be a speaker. You mentioned Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
That's my next goal. I don't need maybe an audience of 3,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, but we're actually planning our first conference. We're going to do a conference in November.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So it'll be a very small conference, but that's step one. And I think at that conference, one of the big things that the great said was, don't look at what I'm doing 40 years down the road and look at yourself as a failure. Just keep building towards that dream, because I've been doing it for 40 years. Why would you be as good as me?
Right, exactly. So, you're watching this or listening to this right now, and I'm sitting in this room, and who knows, you could be going, I remember seeing little Scotty Bartnick on that little podcast on YouTube, and look at him now. That's really an incredible goal, and I was not aware of your conference. I think that's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good luck with that. And, the success we're having here at Otter PR is really, really incredible. And if you haven't spent too much time on our website, I highly encourage you to do so at otterpr.com. Check out our social media channels, too. Our YouTube videos are amazing. And shoot, this guy was there just in the office yesterday morning going, I need to make a video. What do I make a video about? So we're constantly making videos and showing people what we can do and how to do it better. And we're constantly evolving too. As a startup company, we have to constantly learn and grow. And like I said, we're not winging it here. We do have pros on our team that we work with and consult with. And we also learn a lot from our clients too at the same time, because you guys tell us what you need and we go the extra mile for you. So that's what it's all about here. It's relating and it's relations and it's public relations. And boy, I'll tell you, nobody does it better than our fantastic team at Otter PR. Scott Bartnick, thank you for your time today.
Jack, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, this is really an incredible experience. And really, if you need PR, top shelf PR, we got it for you. Media relations, you want to get in front of the cameras, you want to get into ink, you want to get on the Forbes councils and entrepreneur.com leadership councils. We have the keys to your success, and it's as simple as clicking otterpr.com and reaching out to us. And Scott Bartnick, Jay Feldman, they'll talk to you. They'll set you up. And we have an incredible sales staff with Gabby and Shannon and everybody else here on our team. And we will show you the way to success here with Otter PR. And what's going to happen next week? Are we going to hang out again, or is this going to be the Jay Feldman show again? Or are we going to have you both in here?
Maybe we'll get both of us. That'd be fun.
We still need a name for this.
We don't have a name yet?
No, we keep calling it the Otter PR podcast. And, Devin in marketing shot me some ideas, and Jay said no. And, I thought of Otter Fodder, but nobody wants that. Scott, do you have any ideas?
Oh, man, I'm not the ideas guy.
You're not the ideas guy.
Give me an idea, I'll improve upon it.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and pencil this name for next week, and maybe he'll improve upon our ideas between now and then. But thank you for hanging out with us today. For Scott Bartnick and Jay Feldman, I'm Jack Shell, and we'll talk to you next time.